You are listening to the Pot.Live podcast. I'm your host, Lenny G, and this podcast is going to teach you all about what's happening, what the trends are, the latest news, the thought leaders, the business leaders in the cannabis industry. As this industry moves forward at a rapid pace, everyone needs to adapt. Everyone needs to change to what's going on. And we're going to bring you those guests. What are they doing to make their business successful? What are they doing to get their product out there? How are they getting exposure? How are they dealing with all the changing laws? That's what Pot.Live is going to be all about. And make sure you visit Pot.Live, download the app, go to the website, and you will see all of the digital media assets from articles, videos, podcasts, everything. The latest news and trends will all be at Pot.Live. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the show. Do you want to know the official online destination where you can find everything in the cannabis industry? It's theofficialpot.com. That's right, theofficialpot.com. What are you going to find there? How about everything? You're going to find the latest articles, news, and trends. You're going to find the marketplace where you can shop for all CBD products and accessories. You're going to find podcasts and videos, digital media, everything. You can get items delivered right to your front door. How about trying to find your nearest dispensary? Well, we have that information, geolocated to find all the businesses close to you. You could even get your medical marijuana card. Maybe you want to educate yourself on the different strains of cannabis and marijuana that are out there. Well, we have all of that information right on theofficialpot.com. Looking for a career? Sure, we'll hook you up. We've got all the latest job openings across the country. And if you're hungry, you can get your food and your cannabis delivered at the same time. Check us out, theofficialpot.com. Welcome to another episode of the Pot.Live podcast. I am your host, Lenny G, and today we have Mr. Tom Gavin. He is the Vice Chairman and CEO of CannaTrac. CannaTrac is the nation's leading cashless mobile payment system solution for the cannabis industry. The company has designed CannaCard, the CannaCard mobile app that allows consumers and retailers to easily upload funds through the app with their checking account, debit card, credit card, and or cash in person at their partner dispensaries or loading stations. Mr. Tom Gavin, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Len.
Appreciate you taking the time. So why don't you tell everybody who you are and then just dive right into what is CannaTrac for the beginners out there, for the seasoned veterans out there. Let's give some value to our listeners.
You got it. Well, you pretty much summed up CannaTrac for me, but realistically, in layman's terms, we are another option for the consumer to pay when they are looking to do something other than cash, or the dispensary is looking to take cash out of the equation. They can give the option of using the CannaCard. My job here, obviously, is doing a lot of the press work, a lot of things like that, and making sure that we are able to bring great product to the industry and to the consumer. Our app, very simply, it's been kind of coined the Starbucks app of the cannabis industry. And that's simply because, our app is so easy to use. It's so easy to load. And it basically, if you have cash in your pocket or even the ability to pay with credit card, you walk into a Starbucks, are you going to use your Starbucks mobile app, or are you going to pay with cash and not get any rewards? We kind of went the same route and took CannaCard in that direction. You go into your dispensary. If they're accepting the CannaCard, obviously that's the way to go. The consumer can not only pay with the card, but also gain rewards on the back end to cash in at a later date.
Is the CannaCard use of it free? How does your company make money on that from a consumer and then from the business point of view? So we can teach from the business end and then talk about the benefits as a consumer to use it or as a business to accept it.
Well, for a business to accept it, the business would actually get on the platform by obviously applying, being vetted by CannaTrac. We do have a very thorough vetting service, which is why, banks love us, as well as we're in line with all FinCEN guidelines, et cetera. Once the dispensary signs on, every time a consumer uses the card at that dispensary, CannaTrac is paid 2.45% and 50 cents. So that's how we make our money on that side. If they're an online merchant, let's say you're a CBD merchant and you solely have an online store, you're not a brick and mortar dispensary or retail merchant, the cost is $2.95 and 50 cents. That said, there is one other fee, and that's the consumer load fee. And that consumer load fee is 95 cents, which we obviously thought would be a great deal considering the cost of ATMs, especially in the direct vicinity of any dispensaries. We found fees anywhere from approximately $3.95 up as high as $22. So to pay 95 cents, that's a huge savings to the consumer.
Great. So selfishly, I'll go from my point of view. So I own MJ.com, and we are coming out with our own CBD oil and various product line. So if I want to introduce the CannaCard to be used on the MJ.com platform, tell me as a business owner, just walk me through that process of how I get approved and how we make that available to the consumers coming to my platform. I know you just described it slowly, but just walk us through step by step how that works.
No problem. So basically, you'd go to our website, click on the apply page, and that website obviously is CannaTrac.com. The business then downloads the form or types through the form or handwrites in the form, which we really hope you don't do because it's always so hard to read. But if you do, we'll still take it.
Does anybody still write anymore with you know, like, it's funny, they
believe it or not,
teach cursive in school. Does anybody still do that?
Believe it or not, yeah, they actually do. And it's still the same old questions. So in box number 2, subsection B, what did you write there? Whose name is that? I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right because I can't read it. But yeah, unfortunately, we do get some handwritten, but it's all right. You know, it's all part of the business. But that said, you know, that you go in, you fill out the application. One of the great things about our application is, you know, we recently have put together a joint application after coming to an agreement with Pacific Banking Corp. So when you apply for the CannaCard, you're also giving us the information which we can release then to Pacific Banking Corp to set up banking services and capital management accounts for you, which are your accounts directly. Any fees or anything like that gets paid directly to PBC. It has nothing to do with CannaTrac. It's yours to control. That said, once you're vetted by both us, by CannaTrac, we offer as an online merchant, as you're asking, a plugin for your shopping cart. And basically when your consumers come on, they have that option then of paying with their CannaCard, or if they haven't set up a CannaCard yet, linking right through your shopping cart to set up a CannaCard and be able to load it for future purchases. So they would set up an actual account, never leaving your website, and be able to pay with the CannaCard that day that they loaded on your website.
Great. That seems pretty easy.
It's pretty.
So it's great for the consumer and the business owner.
Absolutely. We're trying to make it as seamless as possible. And we're also obviously trying to keep the fees as low as possible because realistically, when all of this becomes, you know, federally legal, which let's be honest, it's a matter of time. We want to be still in the industry. We don't want to alienate anybody, obviously, by having these outrageous fees like a lot of the high-risk credit card processing companies and some of the other relative competition. We want to keep the fees reasonable to where we make enough money to go on, but we're not gouging anybody by any means. You know, we're very consumer friendly. We're very retailer friendly. Yeah, we've kind of taken everything into account. It's been a very, very long process doing it.
I want to dive into that process, but I just want to clarify once again for the listener and myself. So for the consumer, downloading the app and using the CannaCard is free, or is there a fee for them, or is it just that the business owner's paying that fee?
That downloading the app is free for them. When they opt to load the card, if they load from their bank account, there's a 95-cent charge, and that is it. You know, it's a reloadable gift card in essence. So let's just say they walk into your place, they spend $20, but they loaded 100. That money's still there. It's not a one and done type card. It's not a mobile wallet. So it works well. Another big benefit, obviously, to the retailers and online and offline brick and mortar retailers. You know, credit cards, people have a tendency to spend a lot more money, which is great for the retailer. I believe the number is actually almost 20% more. So to have that additional money on your card when you go in there that's a big deal. People are more likely to spend it if it's there.
Right.
So,
And then, so from the business owner point of view, and we'll talk after we record this episode, because I'd like to possibly use it for some of our platforms. Basically, you'll also set us up with Pacific Bank, who you just started a partnership with, to have our banking done there. And it's all a seamless integration with our platform, correct?
absolutely. Absolutely. You would have your own account with Pacific Bankers Corp. As obviously they make that decision that obviously to move forward with you. But that said, we've kind of taken a lot of the turn time out, a lot of the aggravation and, the duplication of effort. So yeah, they will set up an account for you once you pass their due diligence, and we've transferred everything over and everything is seamless then. What we're trying to do is automate this to the point where you really don't have to think, but if you want to think about it, you click a button and you see everything in real time that's going on.
And do you need to use Pacific Bank, or can you use the local bank that some business owner may have and just sign up with CannaTrac?
Currently, we're using Pacific Bank only, and that is for the simple reason that it does become seamless and every transaction can be seen. They can record. There's a complete audit trail. It's the best way.
Okay, so let's back up now. So how did you get involved with CannaTrac? Were you there from the beginning? Did you recently join the team? Tell us a little bit about your journey of how you became involved with the company.
Well, it's a very interesting journey. The company came to concept between 2010, 2011. R&D had started. In 2012, they really came up with the full concept, and that was developed by Terry Patton, who is the founder and chairman of our board. And he's also the president of the company. And Terry came up with this idea in 2014. He finally incorporated CannaTrac. I came on as a consultant in 2015 and kind of worked my way up through the ranks. I actually had met Terry just basically over a friendly drink, sitting next to each other. I was enthralled by what he was doing. And, I was coming out of the financial services arena. So needless to say, regulatory scrutiny was pretty high in that as well. So I was very familiar with lots of paperwork. So when he began looking for someone to come in and help him and help the company get off the ground with regulation, he had come to me. And realistically, for some of the stuff he was looking for, I didn't get involved right away, simply because I didn't feel I was qualified. And apparently I was a little more qualified than I gave myself credit for. Mm-hmm. But that said, I was honest with him and we had become friends. And needless to say, he brought me in. I brought some other people in. We were able to develop what he needed to develop from a regulatory standpoint, as well as from a development standpoint for the software itself. And, I slowly moved up. And through that, as of January, the board voted me in as CEO. And that's kind of how I came to this position.
Well, congratulations. That's great. That's great.
Thank you very much.
That's how things happen. When you least expect it, all of a sudden an opportunity presents itself and you seem to have pounced on it. So good for you. That's great.
Yeah. Finally, a story of good karma actually really worked in.
Yeah, that's
awesome. Yeah.
So tell us about your feelings. I guess let's talk the overall cannabis industry. As you alluded to earlier, everything is going to be federally legal at some point. So what have you seen so far? I don't know how many states you're doing business in or countries, or if you're just localized. Maybe tell us about your market reach and what you've seen as some obstacles or hurdles in those certain regions and what you project going forward, just at the overall industry.
Well, right now we're in Colorado. That said, we are going to be launching nationally very, very shortly. And not to necessarily ruin anybody's announcement, October 1st is when we're looking to come out nationally. That said, there's a handful of things that'll be coming up in the very, very near future, obviously, that will announce different states, basically everything that's going on. And I know that they have a plan, so I don't want to step on anybody's toes, regardless of position or not. My PR team scares me. That said, we basically are looking to make that announcement, obviously, in the next week. And we will be going to a national level. What we've seen so far Most of the states, have some questions as far as government-wise, what's good, what's bad. I think that'll all work itself out. Right now, the big thing, obviously, based around the banks, the government having the House bill up this week, that's a big deal. Step in the right direction. I wouldn't necessarily say it's the be-all, end-all. Obviously, the big thing is declassification or descheduling. Until that happens, obviously everything is still subject to government intervention, if you will. But that said, we basically are taking that first step forward to making the big transition, to full legalization. And whether that be full legal for medical, or I don't necessarily see it going full legal for rec right away, but I've been wrong before, and that's okay. That would be great if it did, but we'll see how that plays out. I think the biggest thing right now, obviously, is still the banking and the banks being afraid of what they can and can't do. It's not that they don't want to get into it. It's not that, you may have a few board members on your bank board that don't want to get into it. But when it comes to a profitability standpoint, you can't deny that it's there and that there is a lot of opportunity that can be taken advantage of, not just for the bank, but for the shareholders in the bank. So that being said, I think that what we've seen, especially I spoke at the Ohio Bankers League a couple months ago, or a month ago, I'm sorry. And, the big questions were, what can we do and can't we do? And there's just confusion. We need something in writing, something that allows them to say, yes, this is black and white. I can do this, but I can't do that. Once that gets ironed out, I think everything will be great. But just the simple fact that we're getting the safe banking through, or the opportunity to get it through, is a huge deal. And hopefully it passes, because I think that'll be the way that the government and the financial institutions figure out what they're going to do when full legalization passes. This is just the first step, but it's like a baby step. They're kind of testing the waters. Is the water too cold, too hot? What do we do? They can lay out a plan from there. And I think that we're moving in the right direction. So hopefully they continue forward, and they don't slow this up by not passing it. But even if they do, there are options out there, and options like us and us, obviously, that give ability outside of the realm of this passing. So
let's talk about the competition and how you're getting your name out there. You don't have to mention competitors, but how are you and your competitors in this solution niche, if you will? How are you getting the CannaCard, the CannaTrac name out there to people to know it even exists?
Well, basically, we have a couple different things that we're doing as far as the consumer being kind of notified or introduced to our product. A lot of that's being done and will be done through social media. Been doing a lot of different engagements. Obviously, our upcoming engagement sponsoring the red carpet events is enormous. We're the first cannabis company to sponsor any red carpet events. So that was huge. We're doing Fashion Week actually next week. And we have the Golden Globes, the Grammys, and the Oscars coming up next year. So you'll see our logo out there for that. That's obviously a huge marketing investment, as well as outcry to not just the public, but to all of the retailers out there. Who doesn't want to be associated with someone that's seen internationally?
Right.
That's obviously a huge play. And as far as the retailers go, we're in the process of actually putting together some different packages, as far as almost like, not just pamphlets, but kind of giveaways and swag and things like that. And that'll go to each of the licensed dispensaries throughout the United States. So that's kind of some of the plans that we have in the very near future, when we start basically advertising nationally as opposed to just locally.
That's great. So it's an exciting and interesting journey that you've already described. You have some good partnerships in place, and you have a marketing plan. That's fantastic. So tell everybody where they can learn more about your company or get in touch with you or your team to learn more.
Okay. Well, you can obviously check us out on Facebook or Twitter, or go to our website at CannaTrac.com. We also have the CannaCard.com, and that's the consumer-based site. You're looking to apply as a consumer, sign up for the card. You can find it in the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. As far as a business, hit the CannaTrac site, click on the apply link, and you'll be able to download an application right there.
Excellent. So we'll put all that in the show notes for everybody to check out, whether you're a business owner or a consumer. So now, Tom, before we finish up, tell us one thing you're super excited about in the industry and one thing that concerns you. And I know we've touched on some of these already, but let's throw some tidbits out there for the listeners. What's exciting? What's concerning from where you are?
I would say what's exciting in the industry is that we've become mainstream. You know, that stigma of cannabis, marijuana, pot, whatever you want to call it, that stigma has really lifted, especially in the last few years. So that's super exciting to watch happen. You know, it's a household word and not a household word that everybody cringes when you say it. So I think that's really amazing. And as obviously all of this legislation moves through and we get closer and closer to legislation for full legalization, that's what I'm excited about. I think that's amazing. I mean, we have conquered years and years and years of, stigma and overcome it. I think that's awesome. As far as what I'm concerned about, is potentially some of the politicians not getting what they want and not making the right decision based on what's best for our citizens. One of the biggest fears I have, obviously, is what we do is we take cash out of the industry. By not allowing these businesses to bank their money, you're forcing cash into an industry. Cash in an industry, especially combined with drugs, is a huge problem. It's a safety concern. And I would say that's my biggest fear, is that they will move slowly and not necessarily do what needs to be done in a timely fashion, and people are going to get hurt. I would say that's a really broad stroked happy point and sad point there, but
no, but it's true, because everyone's concerned, how are they going to legitimize this industry versus people still sticking with the black market? And that is a valid, huge concern. And companies like yourself are trying to legitimize the way these transactions occur, instead of, Joe Blow going to the guy on the corner and getting his product and using a legitimate outlet to get the product they need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a big deal. That's not something that you necessarily hear enough about, I don't think. We do in our industry, but society as a whole should really understand how big a deal this is. It's not just something that they can sweep under the carpet.
Right. So, and that's the way to silence that stigma that you mentioned earlier.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think, like I said, we really are heading in that direction. And I think it's going very well, and we're really picking up steam, picking up momentum. But, hopefully that snowball gets to the bottom of the hill quicker than other things that have to run the usual route through the House, through the Senate, and everything like that. I hope that the citizens themselves are taken into consideration when the bill comes up, more than the bottom notes on the bill.
Yeah, well, I interview a lot of, people, consumers, business owners, everything, like I've said several times, and the positive momentum of this industry is really going at a rapid pace. And like you said, hopefully legislation follows the demand in the proper way. So Tom Gavin, thank you so much for being a guest. It's companies like yours that do help silence that stigma and promote the industry. So thank you so much for taking the time.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Len. It was a great time.
All right, everybody, check out CannaTrac. Like I said, all the info will be in the show notes when the episode's released, and we will see you next time on the Pot.Live podcast. If you're listening to this podcast, that means you like digital media. And where is the home for all digital media content in the cannabis industry? It is Pot.Live. That's right, Pot.Live. That's where you'll find all of the podcasts that you like, just like the one you're listening to right now. All of the video content that you love, and all of the written articles, trends, news, whatever you need, it's all right there. Entertaining and educational, the home of digital media content in the cannabis industry. Visit us at Pot.Live and download the free app at your Google Play Store and the Apple iTunes Store.